So for this month's Spotlight Leadership interview, I'm delighted to be joined by Alison Broadberry, who is Managing Partner and Head of Private Client at Edwin Coe. So thank you very much, Alison.
Thank you, Amy.
For those who don't know much about the firm, can you tell us a little bit more about what makes it stand out and what keeps you here?
That's always a difficult question, isn't it? I think it's never one thing. It's several things, and it's, for me, Edwin Coe, it's the greater than the sum of the parts things. It's all the things about Edwin Coe, the atoms fizzing in the direction they're fizzing in, that add up to more. And it isn't just the traditional heritage of over 100 years in the amazing Lincoln's Inn with the modern outlook. It isn't just the clarity that we have got on, we want to be a leading London independent law firm with a clear focus on private capital and dispute resolution, balancing that tradition and modern heritage. It is all the energy, enthusiasm, commitment to those things. But fundamentally, and I know you're supposed to answer this in short strap lines, but it's the how we do it. It's the who we are and how we do it, and how we got to clarify that. And one of the first things I wanted to do as managing partner was clarify that for everyone, so that we know, and not just from management speak or paying external consultants on the how, but asking everyone at the firm and the clients and the contacts, who are we and how do we work? And it was very clear from that, the feeling of the people is that we are collaborative, committed and connected. And that is a very distinctive feature of Edwin Coe.
Fantastic. It's great that actually going out to the clients as well and actually getting all that feedback back.
Yeah.
So it's not just how you see yourselves, but how others see you too.
Yeah.
So can you also talk to us a little bit about your journey and why you decided that you would want to take up the position of managing partner?
I think most people would say my journey has not been typically traditional to be a managing partner of such a heritage law firm. I went to state school, I left at 16, I had lots of jobs. I did qualify as a barrister of Lincoln's Inn, so it's nice to be home. Yeah. But then I had various commercial roles in different organisations for over 10 years until joining a law firm over 20 years ago, before being here. So not a traditional path, but I have experienced and learned much along the way, and have a crazy passion to effect positive change and make things as best as they can be for everyone. So it was really those two motivating factors that really caused me to want to be the managing partner here, and I am very lucky that they have let me be and currently remain the managing partner to carry on that journey of positive change and improving things.
And what's been the biggest surprise or challenge of being a managing partner?
I think the biggest surprise has been the extent of positive momentum that has been generated by the modernising changes we have made. And initially I was looking at it very much from the push I felt we needed to make. But a lot of the momentum has come from the pull it has generated, almost in a magnetic way. So the pace of positive change, which can be seen in our results and awards and our lateral partner hiring numbers, is much more than I expected it to be. So that's the biggest surprise.
And obviously for you, I guess from a sort of leadership aspect and sort of leadership skills, have you had any sort of learning, what's the biggest learning curve been for you personally, in terms of, you've obviously had lots of different roles before and now you're managing partner, and yeah, what's been the biggest learning curve since being managing partner?
Yeah, you're right. I have had a number of managing and leadership roles in this organisation and other organisations. So perhaps naively and optimistically, I rather assumed that I could just carry on being a high-performing lawyer, the head of private client, and then just add managing partner onto my spinning plates as well and do it all. And a frustration and a challenge was that's actually not the case. It's a very busy, demanding role. They all are. All three roles are very busy and demanding. So I have had to learn how to deal with that and delegate more than I expected. And I hadn't really thought about that. I just thought I'd get on with it. So I'm very grateful to those other people who have perhaps more than me had a change in their learning curve of me taking on a leadership role, because they have kindly taken on a lot of things for me and with me. So,
has leadership taught you anything about yourself? I guess, but you've been a leader for a long time, haven't you? But I suppose leader of a practice group. But being the sort of, say, the leader, the managing partner anyway of a law firm, has it taught you anything about yourself that you weren't necessarily aware of beforehand?
you know, I always knew that I felt a huge drive to effect positive change, and I felt very responsible about that. I think I've been surprised by how, I didn't think this was possible, but how much more passionate, committed and devoted I am to that. That sort of strength of feeling has rather surprised me. And the other surprise, I think, is that I expected it to be lonely. It's lonely at the top, cliche. It is, we know it is. But, and initially it was a little bit, until one curates the team around you to affect the change. So, to my surprise, in having an amazing team at all levels, in all places, and sharing the tasks, agreeing the plans, being committed together to deliver everything, it's almost the least lonely I've ever been, which has been a complete surprise.
Yeah, fantastic. What would people say about your leadership style at Edwin Coe? And is it different from what you would say about your own leadership style, do you think?
I hope not. In the answer to the second, I hope and I think, and certain, I'm sure there are a whole lot of other things people would say that I'm not going to say, but amongst other things, I am told that those things would include being approachable, energetic, enthusiastic, positive, encouraging, empowering, dedicated, committed.
Pivoting slightly, I think the whole issue of sort of strong female representation in the law is, well, it's been on the agenda for a long time for lots of firms, but it's often not reflected at managing partner level. Do you notice it? Where do you think the disconnect still exists with females being represented right at sort of the leadership aspect of law firms?
Of course, it's great sitting here with another female leader. But we all know, yes, it has been a thing and continues to be a thing, and not just in the law, in many other professions, businesses, industry. So there are a whole host of long and complicated, rehearsed factors to it that we're not going to fix today. But I hope I am the first female managing partner of Edwin Coe. That's a helpful step in the right direction. I know a quarter of our senior partners are female. I have hope and confidence those numbers will grow. And I'm really excited that two of our really important new roles in our business operations teams are the Chief Growth Officer and the Chief People Officer, and they are both female. And they're not hired because they're female, they're hired because they are the right people for the job. And I think that leads to another point in today's environment. Business leaders need ever more skills. It's not just business as usual. They need to have emotional intelligence and relational awareness. We need a lot more skills in the toolkit to run our businesses. And I think, I hope, expect that will play much more strongly to women, but also other more traditionally diverse groups than just white male pale.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is changing.
So obviously you've been building, I was going to ask how you've been building and nurturing it, but you've been bringing senior talent in at the top of the business, which, as you said, not because they're necessarily female, but they happen to be female, which is obviously really good in terms of visibility of senior women at Edwin Coe. How do you continue to sort of support and grow that representation?
I've never ever been a sort of positive discriminator, so I think it's just about being completely open-minded and treating everyone equally and encouraging everyone in the same way, that whatever your skills or background or abilities are, that we will have and want to have the abilities to help, encourage, train, learn, develop. All opportunities are equal, all systems, policies are equal, and I never think about gender in that way. And I think too many people do think about it, and it would be better if we didn't think about it and just thought about skills, abilities, intentions, and focus on deliverables.
But the fact that you've brought in, great talent that happens to be female, I think it just adds to, again, a diverse workplace is genuinely a good thing.
It's a really exciting and positive thing, and they're serious leaders of business who are female. It's very exciting. And I feel the energy is. It just is more energetic with it. So
moving on slightly to Edwin Coe, and Edwin Coe's great branding and up for the awards, and all of a sudden I think the star has been rising for Edwin Coe. Definitely over recent times. The website's great, by the way. Really like the website.
Yes,
What can you tell us about Edwin Coe's strategic priorities over the next few years?
They are very, very clear to us, hopefully from the rebranded website as well. We took a lot of time to get that right and make sure that we reflected who we are and what we're doing. So it remains sustainable, profitable growth with a clear strategic focus on UK and international private capital and dispute resolution, remaining London independent, no private equity, growth, but growth that is a force for good growth. I referenced there our B Corp accreditation, which is fantastic. I was very proud that we were only, I think, the 9th law firm in the top 200 to get B Corp accreditation in 2024, which was leading the way and demonstrably being a force for good, which plays out in a lot of ways in Edwin Coe. So again, giving a long-winded answer to what are the strategic priorities, it is to carry on as we are. Sustainable, profitable growth in our key areas with the right balance of people, profit and purpose.
But with the momentum, as you were saying before, there's been momentum, and actually it's not just the pulling people. Now you've got this positive momentum, and I think that often stands for us in brilliant stead in terms of actually growing and the strategy, and then everyone's behind it.
It's very exciting. I mean, it has been very exciting, and it continues to be very exciting. People are knocking on our door. It's quite surprising. Back to the positive impact of momentum.
Fantastic. I was going to ask how you balance, obviously, that desire for commercial growth and sustainability, coupled with actually still maintaining that culture and quality that the firm is obviously known for. How do you balance those factors?
So it's such a good question, and absolutely critical to be who we are and not lose that. We've had so many new joiners. There was a great risk in theory that we could lose that. So it's something we're very careful and intentional about, both in recruitment and in retention. And it is partly conscious and partly subconscious in the DNA of the firm. But we really are conscious about how professionally and socially we keep all that going in the right way. So there's of course there's all the social committee side of things. There are lots of strands that flow from this. I mean, one, for example, we've recently introduced coffee roulette. Although if people want to have wine or something else, that's up to them. But we call it coffee roulette, where the Sports and Social Committee match people that haven't probably met before, so we get to know each other. But beyond all that, I really, if I may, want to just sort of mention our values. And those again, we arrived, another thing I wanted to do early on as managing partner is clarify what they are, codify them, communicate them, and enshrine them. So we did that by the same process of asking the people here, what are they? And so the people determine them, not the management team or highly paid external consultants as to what should they be. It's like, what are they? And how do we keep them? So they are enshrined in what we call the Edwin Coe sphere, which is an acronym for supportive, professional, honest, encouraging, respectful, and empowering. And that is enshrined in many ways in our including in our performance reviews and in our remuneration packages, such as our Extra Mile Award. So there's lots of permutations of consciously and unconsciously how we live it. As managing partner, I read a lot of appraisal forms, and it often, it's sad, but brings a slight tear to my eye when I see how proud people are of the culture that they are maintaining.
So what you're saying is it's been very important to, I guess, focus on that culture and make sure people are totally bought into that culture, to balance the bringing people in, but making sure that actually they properly understand the values and what they are. And
it has, and I mean that just on that side, I've been surprisingly powerful on recruitment. I have interviewed many partners from other firms who have told me they didn't quite know what their values were at their firm, or they didn't like them, but they really like ours, and crucially how we got there and what we do with them. So it's another passion.
I was just going to ask you also quickly, just in terms of the legal market. Obviously, the legal market has been changing. What do you think that law firms need to be alive to?
That's the age-old question, isn't it? And it was ever thus that law firms have always had to worry about all the headwinds of socio-economic political change, changing workforce demands, rising costs, client demand, all of AI now, everything. And we've always been told that it's never faster or more difficult. That always snowballs to be the case. Though I do think, and it feels to me, and you would know more than me, that the legal market is ever more fragmented with what it is and how it offers itself to its clients. So I think the most fundamental thing is law firm leaders, managing partners, leaders have to decide who they are and what their business model is and is going to be, and then try and be the best at it you can be. Focus.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
The market is, you've got to decide who you are, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then, and the market is very different. So, it's client's choice, but you deciding actually who your clients are and actually what sort of offering you want to make is crucial. Yeah. On to a couple of questions just about you, because obviously you've had a really interesting background and lots of different sort of roles along the way to end up as managing partner of Edwin Coe.
Yes.
Was it always your plan to go into a legal career? And I was going to ask what advice you'd give to yourself at the start of a legal career.
I think we're all trying to work out what we'll do when we grow up, really, aren't we? No, plans evolve.
Yeah,
plans evolve. Though I must confess, when I joined Edwin Coe, I hoped perhaps I might be. This was a place I felt I could make some positive change. It was great. It was great, but I just thought it could be amazing, and there are other people here to make it amazing if we can galvanise everyone in the same direction. And this has got more significant with age. That happens, doesn't it? But I think it's even when you are the only voice in the room with that view, trust yourself and your view. So trust yourself, but be more confident about your views. Just make sure you can articulate them.
Which is also hard when you're younger too,
yes.
to actually have that sort of confidence maybe to then have that conviction. And finally, Alison, what excites you most about the next chapter for Edwin Coe, and for you within that chapter?
It has been a very exciting 3 years. We have had a lot of change, a lot of positive momentum and great results, great people joining, and that will continue. So it's the same of the infinite possibilities of more positive change, momentum, and crucially, balancing the profit, the people, and the purpose.
Very much.
Very much.
Thank you.